Hello. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, everyone. Post your questions and comments. Let me type that out. Wait, so post your questions and comments in the chat. This is Dr. Allo. We are going live once again. Let me fix the camera a little bit. So I think I got the settings on the camera a little bit better. And it seems like, oh, my throat. Let's try this again. So welcome back to the live. Last time I did this, it was a little bit more spontaneous and random. This time I tried to schedule it a little better. So welcome to the live chat here. Just post your questions in the chat as you think of them. I will answer them as we go along. So I did get a few questions that some people said, well, hey, I'm not going to be there, but can you possibly comment on them? So the biggest question that I got is on one of my Facebook posts. Somebody tagged me in and said, hey, can you please address this? This person keeps thinking that carbs are going to give you diabetes. So I had done a video a long time ago called Diabetes, It's Not Your Fault. And diabetes is a genetic disorder. I think that's one thing that everybody needs to understand. Diabetes is genetic. Eating donuts and pizza and all this, that's not what gives you diabetes. It's genetic. You were born with it. Especially, we're talking about type 2 diabetes now. Type 2 diabetes is genetic. You were born with it. You got it from your mom or your dad. Now, if you overeat and you gain weight, that can bring it about sooner. We'll realize and diagnose you sooner. If you're on steroids like birth control or prednisone or whatever it might be, we will realize that you have diabetes a lot sooner. If you become pregnant and you have what's called gestational diabetes, that just tells us that you're diabetic. You have the genes for it, and gaining weight, becoming inactive, and those kind of things will make it worse or bring it about a lot sooner. So somebody tagged me in a post saying, hey, Dr. Allo, do you mind addressing this? This person keeps thinking that eating carbohydrates is going to give you diabetes. Look, if you are overweight or eating and gaining weight, it doesn't matter what you're eating, your diabetes is going to be worse. Your insulin resistance is worse. Everything is not, it's going to be bad. But it's not the carbs' fault. You could eat just protein or just fat and gain weight, and your diabetes would be worse. So the question now becomes, well, what do you do? Well, you need to start losing weight. And the biggest and easiest way to do that is to get on a calorie restricted diet. And if the weight is coming off, hi, Vicky, and hi, Rizwan, I'll answer your question in a second. But if the weight is coming off, your diabetes will be improving. It's not because you're not eating donuts and not eating carbs. It's because you are restricting your calories. When you restrict calories and weight is coming off, it makes no difference what your macronutrients are. It doesn't matter what, not one bit, not even at all. If you are eating 1,400 calories a day and that's causing weight loss, your diabetes is getting better. It doesn't matter if that's Twinkies, Pop-Tarts, cereal, ribeye steak, whatever it is, it really makes no difference whatsoever. So I really wanted to address that. I did post a video, I think yesterday or maybe the day before, about this exact topic, carbohydrates. It was a family friend that was also a physician. We were at some event, and they were obsessed with telling everyone that you just got to cut carbs and somehow that'll magically cause weight loss. Now, cutting carbs for most people will cause weight loss. It's because 70% of our calories usually come from carbs. When you eliminate 70% of your calories, guess what? You're going to lose weight. What if you eliminated 70% of your calories, but you were still eating carbs and all of your calories were still carbs, but you eliminated 70% of your calories? Yes, you would still lose weight. So let's start with the live questions since people are actually here. Rizwan is asking, how do you motivate yourself to hit the gym? This is a really good question, Rizwan. So you have to decide and think about what is your motivation. Why are you hitting the gym? Is it just to get healthy? Is it to cause weight loss? Do you want to look better? What kind of drives you? And then you can use those kind of things, and it could be a combination of all those things. You do want to lose weight, you do want to look better, you do want to get more fit, you want to be healthier, you want to reduce your blood pressure, all that stuff. All of those things together can be a motivation. Now, the one thing I think sometimes people bite off more than they can chew. They think, well, if I'm going to hit the gym, I got to go 7 days a week or I'm not going at all. No, you don't have to do that. Or sometimes people think, well, I got to do, 3 days a week at least. And that's what I'm going to do. No, you don't have to do that. Why don't you start with something simple? Just say, I'm going to go 1 day a week and that's it. I'm going to work out that one single day. Let's say Monday, I'm going to go in, do deadlift, squat, and bench press, and that's it. Go home. Next Monday, same thing. Deadlift, squat, bench press, and go home. You will actually achieve almost all of those things that we talked about if you did just those things once a week. Rizman, maybe I guess I should ask you, what do you feel is the hiccup? What is preventing you from going to the gym? Is it a transportation issue? Is it too far? Is it you're just worried that you're not going to attain results? I mean, what do you feel it is? Yes, Vicky. Vicky's asking, I don't know if people will see the chats later, but Vicky's asking, am I hearing this correctly? You can eat what you like. You just have to eat smaller portions. Yes, Vicky, that is actually 100% accurate. If you eat smaller portions of whatever it is you like, you will lose a lot of weight. The key is to eat what you like because you can maintain it and do it for a very, very long time. A lot of times people will try to adopt a diet that doesn't work with them, like eating only protein or not eating carbs or eating only kale or cabbage or whatever it is. There's so many diets, or intermittent fasting, like eating only from 1 to 5 p.m. or whatever it might be. When people adopt a diet that's too restrictive or not something that they're used to or something that they're not normally used to, that's when problems happen, because you can't keep that up long term. All the studies that they've done show that you cannot keep up restrictive diets long term, whether it's a time restriction, a food restriction, or something like don't eat after 7 p.m., like whatever it might be, because you fall off the wagon. At some point, you eat that carb, or you eat after 7 p.m., or you eat in the morning instead of after the 4 hour window that you gave yourself. The problem is when you do that, now you think you can't ever lose weight again, or it's thrown off your program and you feel horrible, and then you go back and just give up. So the key is, Vicky, and this is what I tell all my patients, eat what you like. It just has to be a lot less. So take your plate. If you don't want to count calories, take your plate, take away half of it, eat just half, wait about 20 minutes. If in 20 minutes you are still hungry, go back and eat a little bit more. Because it takes 20 minutes for your stomach to tell your brain that you're full. The signaling, the stretch fiber response, all that stuff, the vagal nerve, it takes that long. And that's how that's one easy trick you can do. You've suddenly eliminated half your calories, which is pretty awesome. So I'll leave the floor open again. Ishtok saying, tired after work, plus feeling like I won't be able to go regularly. I work as a hospitalist. So Ishtok, if you're tired after work, that's very understandable. Sometimes people are tired for a multitude of reasons. One of them may be that you are overworked. It's a laborious, manually and mentally demanding job, and you feel exhausted and you just want to go relax. So one thing you can do is start an exercise program that's actually relaxing. You could swim, you could golf, you could walk on an inclined treadmill. There's all kinds of things. I'll read the next question you posted in a second. But definitely that's one reason. The biggest reason I see when people are exhausted after work is that they carry around a lot of excess body weight, and that's fatiguing. So one thing you can do maybe before starting an exercise program is actually just starting a weight loss program by cutting calories. I don't know how many calories you've done or what you've tried. It sounds like you are intelligent because you stated you're a doctor. So cutting calories shouldn't be that hard. You can either track with an app or just do what I said earlier, which is cut your calories in half. Take away half of what you eat and wait. The next part of his question is cardio treadmill for 30, 40 minutes enough for burning calories and losing weight, or do you need to do something else in the gym? So this is a really good question, Rizwan. This is my favorite question. People ask me this all day, all the time. You probably know my answer, but it's hard to manually burn off calories. So let's say you weigh 200 pounds, and I don't know what you weigh, but let's take a 200-pound person as an example. They get on the treadmill for 30 to 40 minutes, whether it's walking or jogging or incline walking, whatever it is, you're going to burn somewhere between 200 and 300 calories. And that is the equivalent of one Panera plain bagel with cheese. Instead of spending those 30 minutes walking, you could have just eliminated a plain bagel with cheese. Now, of course, walking and exercise has other benefits. It reduces your blood pressure, your stress levels, your cholesterol, all that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about exercising in terms of like weight loss. If you're exercising just to lose weight, you could actually just cut out that plain bagel with cheese and not have to do those 30, 40 minutes on the treadmill. Now, if it's relaxing and it's time alone and you feel good doing it and it, gives you like some self-time or self-reflection, no problem. Go ahead and do it. But definitely exercise, and I have like 1,000 videos on this, but exercise in and of itself, by itself, is not an efficient tool for weight loss. It's an adjunct. They found the positive studies on exercise have shown that if you exercise, you keep weight off that you've already lost. Exercise is very good at keeping weight off that you previously lost. Let's say you lost 50 pounds and you walk on the treadmill. That helps you keep the 50 pounds from coming back. But in and of itself is not very good at losing weight. All the studies they've done, people have lost a very small amount of weight, even after 2 years. I remember one of the studies I looked at when I was doing my 3-hour lecture, plus other lectures I've given. There's actually a couple of lectures I've done. One is called Concise Diet Research Review. And then there's one called Exercise Review, Concise Exercise Research Review. And then there's the Exercise Research Review, which is like 1.5 hours. But the concise one kind of sums it up. But the 1.5 hour one, since you seem like a researcher and a physician, take a look at the 1.5 hour one called Exercise Research Review. It's really good. It goes over all the studies on weight loss. You'll find one of the studies I remember, it was a 2-year study where they had participants for 2 years trying to exercise to lose weight. They lost like 9 pounds in 2 years. That's bad. That's really, really, really bad. Like imagine, Rizwan, one of your 300-pound patients is like, yeah, doc, I've been exercising. I've been losing weight. And you're like, well, how long have you been exercising for? They're like, oh, 2 years. How much weight have you lost? 4 pounds or 9 pounds. What would you say to them? You would probably, you'd be confused. I don't know that you'd say that to them, but you'd be like, you exercised for 2 years and just lost 9 pounds. Clearly your exercise is not right. Well, it's the exercise that's not right. That's the problem. But if I guarantee you, if your patient that's 260 pounds or whatever it might be, decided to literally just eliminate 10 to 20% of their calories, like just cut away a little bit of your plate every day, they would lose those 9 pounds in probably 2 to 3 weeks. And that would be much more efficient and much, much, much better. The next question by Rizwan is, of course, diet modification is necessary and separate from the gym. Yeah, actually, I tell people to completely separate diet and exercise. If you want to lose weight, pick your calorie count. And I don't know how old you are or whatever you are, but let's say if you are my age, let's say you're like 40, and let's say you weighed 220 pounds. I'm just using this as an example. And you're 5'8", maybe 5'10" at the most. For a 40-year-old male, or like let's say 35 and up, and about 5'8" or a little taller, and you weigh 220 or maybe a little more than that, if you're supposed to eat about 1,800 calories a day to lose weight. Whether you work out that day or not, still eat 1,800 calories a day. Don't let your fitness tracker, your Fitbit, or your Apple iWatch tell you, well, today you walked 20,000 steps, so you can eat an extra 400 calories. Don't do that. Just separate them completely. You eat 1,800 calories, whether you work out that day or not, you will lose weight every single day. If you exercise that day, it's bonus. The biggest reason why I want people to exercise when they're trying to get fit and lose weight is mainly so that you can actually look better when the weight comes off. You're not exercising to help accelerate the weight loss, although it can, it will if you're in a calorie deficit, definitely. But the main reason, if you start lifting weights, for example, is you'd put on a little muscle so that when the weight comes off, you actually look quite muscular and toned and all of that. Next is Vicky. How many meals should you eat a day? Some say 3, some say 2, some say so on and so on. So they've done a lot of studies, Vicky, on nutrition. They call it chrononutrition and nutrition timing and meal sizes. If you're supposed to eat 1,800 calories a day to lose weight, it makes no difference if you ate that all in little 200 calorie bites or 400 or 500 calories, bigger meals or whatever, as long as it adds up to 1,800 in 24 hours, and not even 24 hours, but by the whole week, 7 days a week times 2,000, let's say, or 1,800. If it adds up to that average, weight's going to be coming off. It makes no difference if you eat tiny little meals 15 times a day, or 3 big giant meals, or 1 big giant meal. That's why intermittent fasting works. If you eat 1 big giant meal, it's 1,500 calories a day, you will lose weight. If you broke that giant meal up into 3 or 4 meals, it makes no difference. So the chrononutrition, or like nutrition timing, makes no difference if the calories are low, like they're enough to cause weight loss, like a calorie deficit. Rizwan says, makes sense. Your answer gives me a totally different perspective. Well, I'm glad. See, here's the thing. I think the problem, Rizwan, as physicians, and I have a whole CME lecture that I just posted. It's a picture of doctors with an X on it. You'll probably find it funny. It was a lecture I was giving to physicians, actually cardiology fellows mostly, teaching physicians how to teach their patients to lose weight properly, because we're never actually taught, and I'll admit this, I don't know, medical school, residency, whatever, we were never really taught nutrition and weight loss and all this. It's kind of like a self-learned thing. Of course, there's the obesity medicine stuff that you could get board certified in and whatnot. It's not a recognized board, but you could do it. Highly recommend it if you want to do it. It's called, you could search obesity medicine board certification, and you can take it. But it's like $1,500, I believe, last time I checked. But you can take it. But the biggest thing is we don't know a lot about weight loss. That lecture that I gave with it's a picture of physicians with a red X on it, called Doctor to Doctor. What physicians should but don't know about weight loss. It's a 3-hour lecture, and it's literally everything from beginning to end, starting even with studies showing how much we don't know about weight loss. Like I actually showed like 3 or 4 studies reviewing physicians and what they've learned, and residency programs and family practice programs and even cardiology programs, showing that they don't really know anything about weight loss, and it's not emphasized in our teaching, and it's not emphasized in our education. The final study that I showed was a study from the American College of Cardiology, my specialty, saying here's what we need to focus on teaching fellows for the next few years. Or like, what we should educate fellows on. If you searched, it's a huge PDF file. If you search for the word fat, obesity, or weight loss, nowhere in that publication does the American College of Cardiology tell program directors to teach cardiology fellows about anything having to do with weight loss, fat reduction, or obesity, which is really sad. But definitely take a look at that lecture. It's called Doctor to Doctor, everything doctors should but don't know about weight loss. It's 3 hours. You could probably just listen to it as a podcast or just the audio thing if you have like the premium version of YouTube. But either way, I think you'll like it, especially since you're a physician. So let's go on to Raphael. I lift weights 3 days a week and do mobility training on the other days. How much cardio do I need to add for optimal health and energy? This question was actually answered in a study. 2014, the Journal of the American College of Cardiology actually studied this exact question. They wanted to know, is there a dose response to cardiovascular activity and how it reduces mortality? So I love that you're doing weights, because that's huge. Weights is, they don't do enough study on resistance training, weightlifting, and cardiovascular reduction mortality, although there is some, and I've put them in some of my lectures. But this study in the American College of the Journal of the American College of Cardiology, JACC, the GACC, showed that if you took people and they only walked on a treadmill at a very slow pace, we're talking like 2 to 3 miles an hour, just 1 day a week for 5 to 10 minutes, they reduced their cardiovascular mortality by 45%. And if they increased it to 2 or 3 times a week, or I think like 3 or 4 times a week, the same thing, just 5 to 10 minutes at a very slow pace. If they increased it to 4 or 5 times a week, or maybe even less than that, they reduced their cardiovascular mortality by 50%. So, and then one other thing they found that was really, really fascinating was all-cause mortality, like the chance of dying of anything, even the chance of dying in a car accident, went down by 29%. So if you want to do that, what I usually do, Raphael, is after I lift weights, I'll just walk on a treadmill for like 20 minutes. Mainly that's like just for a little bit of extra fat burning, but I control my calories. I mean, if that's I'm in a calorie deficit, I'll usually do that if I'm cutting really hard and want to get really, really shredded. But in order to like reap the benefits of cardiovascular, you don't need to do a whole lot. I would say if you want to, once or twice a month, do like an intense, maybe hit style thing that just gets your heart rate up to a certain amount. Like what I normally do before I work out, Raphael, is I'll actually just get on the exercise bike or do like 10, 15, maybe 20 jumping jacks in a row just to get my heart racing and the blood flowing so that I don't injure myself, get blood flow going to all the muscles, so that when I work out, there's like blood flow and nutrients and oxygen in all the muscles. That's probably enough. You probably don't have to do anything more than that. 3-card Monty asks, and feel free to put in follow-ups, Raphael and Rizwan, if that didn't answer your question. 3-card Monty says, hey, Dr. Allo, I'm the guy who lost 150 pounds on healthy keto. I have hemochromatosis, Hashimoto's disease, and Epstein-Barr virus. My ferritin used to be, 4,500. 3 years ago, I'm at 111 now, 61 years old. So 3-card, that is phenomenal. Look, I'm not against keto, and however you lost the weight, I'm super proud of you and happy that it worked for you. I only just don't like when you see these doctors on YouTube or TV or wherever you find them. They're like, oh, the only way to lose weight is keto. That's not true. It is a way to lose weight. And if it works for you and you like eating those types of foods and in that style, awesome. Please continue doing it. The problem sometimes when you do those kind of diets, it's very hard to stick to long term, but it sounds like you've stuck to it. So I'm really glad that you have. Just make sure that they are following your LDL, your bad cholesterol. Sometimes when you're eating keto, especially if you're getting a lot of saturated fat, your LDL can be really, really high. Just make sure that's being tracked and or treated if needed. If you had anything else to add to that, please feel free. Saad is asking a question. How long does it take to reestablish a healthy metabolic set point, especially if we destroyed it through unhealthy weight cuts? Yeah, so metabolic adaptation, I have a video on that. It can take a while. So metabolic adaptation, I think what he's asking is, let's say I've been eating 800 to 1,200 calories a day for the last 3 years, cutting like crazy, working out like crazy, exercising like crazy. It can be reversed, but these people adapt to a really low calorie count and an excessive amount of exercise. And the second you increase your calories, let's say you're used to 1,000 calories a day and you work out, 5 days a week. The second you increase your calories by 100 or 2 and stop working out one of those days, you're going to start gaining fat. That's a really bad adaptation. There are ways to get out of it. I have an entire video on metabolic adaptation and like how to reverse out of it. But basically, you need to, in terms of the exercise, slowly cut back. Maybe instead of doing that much cardio, focus on the weight training side. Cut out some of the cardio or the HIIT training you might be doing. Just do the weights. And eventually you will have to cut that back too. And then the other issue is slowly increasing your calories over time. When you're metabolically adapted to just 1,200 or 1,400, whatever it might be, you want to add 100 calories every 2 weeks or so and just slowly work your way back up. Now, you will gain fat, but one thing you could do, and this isn't for everybody, is let's say you're eating 1,400 calories a day, is just bump your calories up to 2,200. Like, I don't know what size male you are. Let's say you're a 160-pound male that's 5'8", that's like 35-ish years old. just bump your calories up to 2000 and just eat that for a while. You're going to put on some fluff and you're going to gain some fat. You might not like it, but it'll quickly bring up your metabolism. You will gain some weight, and some of it, maybe a lot of it, will be fat, but your metabolism will go up. And then when you start working out, you'll actually put on muscle. Your body is deprived of nutrients. I had a friend named Adam who started working out with me. Now, he was the opposite. He was super skinny. Well, actually, maybe he's in your exact position, actually. Super skinny guy, weighed 160 pounds, 6'1", 38 years old, maybe, was eating like 1,600 calories a day, skinnier than a toothpick. He decides to work out with me. We're working out for a few months. He's like, Dr. Alla, I don't get it. I'm not putting on muscle. I'm not doing anything. And I told him, well, listen, the issue is you're not eating enough calories. So he's like, well, tell me what to do. So I went into my fitness pal with him, increased his calories, protein, whatnot. He kept increasing calories, like 200 here and there, another 200, another 200. We got up to like 2,000. He'd put on a few pounds and then his weight would drop again, and put on a few pounds and his weight would drop again. Finally, we got up to about 2,800 calories pretty fast. This was over a matter of maybe a month. Got up to 2,800 calories. Finally, his weight started going up, and my man put on like muscle like crazy. Chest, shoulders, legs, everything. In fact, his legs got so big that he told me he wants to stop working out legs because his legs got so big. So he stopped working out legs altogether, but his chest, arms, and he did not really put on much fat. He had a six-pack in the beginning because obviously he only weighed like 160 pounds at 6'1". He had a six-pack and it got a little soft, but you could still see them. But he ended up he went from 160 to 189. Basically 190. He put on 30 pounds, like 28, 30 pounds of muscle in like 2 months, and was still pretty ripped. Now, shaving fat off is easy. So, Saad, I'll tell you, just increase your calories quickly, get your weight up, and keep working out, lift some weight, put on some muscle. And then if you end up with like a 5 to 10 pounds of fat on, which you probably won't, but let's say you do, it's really easy if you're at 2,800 calories to just cut it to 25 and boom, the fat comes off in like 4 or 5 weeks and you'll be shredded again. So I'll go on to the next question. Obviously, you can add more questions, guys. How long does it take to re-establish? Okay, we did that one. Do you have any insight on whether hemochromatosis damages the heart? So yes, 3-card. Hemochromatosis, for those who don't know, hemochromatosis is really high iron levels. The iron can start depositing everywhere. It kind of depends on the person. And I don't know if they were doing phlebotomy for you for a while, like, just phlebotomy is just bleeding out. There are iron blockers and other things that they might have given you. You probably need to talk to and I'm sure you have, but you've probably seen a hematologist or someone who deals with blood disorders specifically. From a heart standpoint, yes, if you have hemochromatosis and have had it for a long time, the iron deposits in your heart, and it gives you various different kinds of heart failure and other kinds of issues. Rizwan asking, is keto bad for the kidneys long term? Good for patients with epilepsy? No. So the reason they invented keto, like you said, is it's good for epileptic patients, especially children. A long time ago in the early 1900s, that was the only treatment we had for epilepsy. Is it bad for your kidneys long term, keto? No, I mean, assuming you have good kidney function and you're staying hydrated, it should be fine. They've done studies on really, really high levels of protein, even more than you could eat with food. They were giving people 3 to 4 grams of protein per pound of lean body mass. So let's say you're a 200-pound person, multiply that by 3, like 1,200. Let's see, is that 1,200? Yeah, somewhere in that range. 3 times 12. No. I don't know, I'm doing the math wrong, but let's say you're a 200-pound person and you're eating 3 grams of protein. Oh, so 600. Yeah, so like 600 grams of protein a day. They've done those studies, and even up to 4 grams per pound. And as long as your kidneys are already normal, didn't really make a difference. But they also found that it really didn't increase muscle size or hypertrophy or anything more than just eating 1 gram to about 1.7 per pound of lean body mass. 3-card says, my LDL is in the 70s. Oh, that's awesome. That's really good to hear. My total cholesterol went down from 250 to 158. So that came from the weight loss alone. The fact that your cholesterol was in the 250s and came down to 158, when you lose 150 pounds, that's a huge, huge factor. My HDL shot up from 35 to 63. For those that don't know, HDL is the good cholesterol. So that's really good. My VLDL is 9. My triglycerides are in the 40s now. So 3-card, your numbers look phenomenal. I would stick with what you're doing. If you like the keto diet, obviously the way you've implemented it, it seems to be working for you, and I'd probably stick to it. 3-card says, I had kidney stones 8 years ago, no problems with kidneys since going keto. Yeah, once you lose weight, depending on the type of kidney stones, it seems to help, but some people have genetically genetic crystals. Some of them are calcium oxalate, some of them are different things. But sometimes, weight loss and lifestyle modifications may or may not help with kidney stones. I don't know, why is this focusing on this? Maybe I should do this. One of the types of kidney stones, if you reduce purines, which are found in some meats, could improve kidney stones. Sad is posting, he's 5'6", 5'6" height and 170 pounds and 40 years old. Yeah, so I guessed about right. I said maybe 160, 35 and up, 5'6", 5'8". So what I said applies, Saad. You honestly could do what my friend Adam did, and I can put you in touch with him if you want, but we took him from 160 pounds, 6'1", 35, maybe 37-year-old male, and in a matter of about 2 months was eating 2,800 calories a day, put on gobs and gobs of muscle, and looks like the Hulk right now. Restrictive cardiomyopathy, diastolic CHF. Yes, Rizwan is answering the question for 3-card. Monty, I don't know if you guys can see your own chats with each other, but it seems like you can. I've not done this that often, but yeah, taking when hemochromatosis, when the iron deposits in the heart, as well as other proteins like amyloid or even sarcoid, you do get all kinds of different heart failures, restrictive, diastolic, other things. 3-card is saying, I was on phlebotomy treatments every week, then every 2 weeks, then every month. Now I'm at every 3 months. My BP went really low. My cardiologist took me off metoprolol, creeping up now. So metoprolol generally isn't a blood pressure medication, but it's really good at controlling your heart rate, which may be why if you're doing cardio, your heart rate's not going up. There are better cholesterol blood pressure medications. I have a video that's a little bit tongue-in-cheek called natural cardiac medications. One of my favorite medications is lisinopril. It's probably the best blood pressure medication to start people on. But lisinopril is a blood pressure medication. Do you happen to know where it comes from? It's a very, very natural substance. Take a guess, guys. Well, I'll answer the next question. What's your take on fish oil supplementation? This is from Raphael. Are the concerns about connections with AFib a concern? So, Raphael, here's the issue with fish oil. Fish oil that you buy over the counter and that we've made prescription, like Lovaza, is a combination of DHA and EPA. And we found when it's combined and in those, half and half type ratios, when there's a lot of DHA, especially, that your LDL goes up, your bad cholesterol goes up, and that's led to bad outcomes. That's why we don't really prescribe Lovaza anymore. It's a prescription medicine. It's basically just fish oil. We haven't used that in years. It was almost discovered right away that when you put people on that, it increases your bad cholesterol. So now they have found the EPA, though, the EPA part of fish oil actually reduces cardiovascular mortality by something like 26% or 22 to 26%, and actually even reduces all-cause mortality, which no one expected, but it reduces cause of death from anything by also, I think, like 20 some odd percent. I'll have to look at the studies again, but it's pretty awesome. I don't think there's a link, Raphael, with AFib when with fish oil. There may be. I'll have to look, but I don't believe there is. Usually atrial fibrillation is due to your atria, the top two chambers of your heart being overstretched. Usually that's from high blood pressure, sleep apnea, or obesity, long-standing uncontrolled blood pressure, long-standing sleep apnea, long-standing hypertension, and long-standing obesity. All those are kind of related too. So back to 3-card. I've been on metoprolol for arrhythmias for 35 years now. Yep. Yeah, so that's the thing, 3-card. Metoprolol is excellent at controlling your heart rate. It's very good at preventing arrhythmias, whether they're PVCs, PACs, tachycardia, AFib even, all those things. It's an awesome medication for that, but it's definitely not very good for blood pressure. Yes, Rizwan got the answer correct. Lisinopril comes from viper venom. one of the most interesting naturally occurring medications. So a viper is a poisonous snake. I'm sure everybody knows this. When it bites into a human, it injects a whopping amount of something called ACE inhibitor, which is what lisinopril, benazepril, enalapril, there's a ton of them, ramipril. It injects a ton of that into you, which drops your pressure so low that blood flow and blood pressure is no longer getting to your organs, and you ultimately die. So that is the answer to the question. So 3 card is saying my blood pressure went to 90/40. Now at 136. I started taking metoprolol because arrhythmias came back. Only 12.5. Yeah, so 12.5, if you haven't been on it for a while, is a good enough amount to reduce your arrhythmia burden while not dropping your pressure too much. Obviously, you could take other things for blood pressure if it starts to creep up. Vicky is saying it is snake venom. Yes, it's viper venom. The other thing in that video that's pretty fascinating. I'm sure you guys know all this if you've watched those. But a lot of cardiac meds, and most cardiac meds, and probably most meds and anything, come from nature, like sweet clovers, coumadin, statins that reduce cholesterol, then reduce mortality, come from red yeast rice. Digitalis plant or digoxin medicine comes from the digitalis plant, which is a foxglove flower. What else? I don't know. There's so many examples in that video, but just watch it. It's a picture of a snake. It's called Natural Cardiac Meds or something like that. Sad is saying, you mentioned that in your Mind Pump podcast. Yes. And the Mind Pump podcast, which I was on, if you go back, if you search Mind Pump, I think it was back in June 2nd, episode 1556 or 57 maybe. I was on this Mind Pump podcast. I love those guys. They talk about fitness. I love their philosophy. I love their human behavior, the way they're not just talking about exercise and that's it. They talk about, how to incorporate exercise into your daily life while not going crazy either. Not everyone is here to know. Not everyone is only doing exercise their whole life. It's not our job. It's just something you do to enhance your life. Oh yeah, tree bark. That's right. So aspirin comes from a plant as well. So aspirin is salicylic acid. It comes in a few different forms. It's technically the oil of wintergreen, and the willow tree is the tree bark. They found that people, when they had stomach aches or headaches, whatever they give them, they'd hand them a piece of bark and say, "Hey, go sit in the corner and chew on this." They'd hold the bark between their teeth and chew on it, and they'd absorb the oil of wintergreen or salicylic acid. That's why Bengay smells like oil of wintergreen. Bengay is methyl salicylate or methyl salicylic acid. The methyl portion is added to it to make it lipid soluble so that it actually absorbs through your skin. But Bengay is that muscle ache ointment that you put on. It's methyl salicylic acid or oil of wintergreen. You put it on, it absorbs because it's methylated. It actually goes through your skin and is used, and it helps with the muscle aches. It's aspirin and it comes from the bark of a willow tree, basically. Vicky saying, yes, I remember that podcast. Yeah, it was fun. It was in San Jose. They flew me out there. We had a good time, or I flew out there, whatever it was. We had a really good time. We spent about an hour and a half just talking about heart disease, how exercise, diet, nutrition affects that. And they were bringing it from a fitness point of view, and I was bringing it obviously from a cardiac point of view. I think they called it How Not to Die of Heart Disease was the final title for that podcast. But look it up. It's called Mind Pump Podcast. Just type in Dr. Aloe Mind Pump. You'll find it on YouTube or iTunes or Google Podcast or however you listen to it. Vicky is saying, I've heard you can't drink herbal teas taking metoprolol. Well, no, you could drink whatever you want. Sometimes herbal teas still contain caffeine, if that's your question. I'm not sure. But yeah, if you're trying to avoid caffeine, some herbal teas, unless they specifically state caffeine free, then no. Here's the thing. Here's another topic. Now that you guys have brought it up, supplements. Like I'm watching these. Like somebody sent me a link to some doctor called Anthony something. I don't remember his name. But he's like, hey, moms, if you want to get fit this week or this year, start off your new year right, blah, blah, blah. Exercise and nutrition is super important. But here's my supplement stack. You got to buy this. It's $500 a month. Like, oh, come on, man. Like, you're a doctor. Why are you promoting a box or pill bottle full of probably nothing? No no pill bottle or supplement or anything is going to cause weight loss. There's 3 supplements that I recommend. One of them is protein. It's not technically a supplement, but protein is useful if you're trying to build muscle or if you're trying to lose weight without losing muscle. So protein is huge. The other one is caffeine. Protein, caffeine. Caffeine is a stimulant that kind of wakes you up and gets you going. It doesn't support muscle growth or anything like that. It just makes you feel good, and it's a stimulant. So Rizwan, you were asking earlier, what's the motivation to go to the gym? Sometimes maybe taking a shot of espresso or something. And the other one is creatine. Creatine is this supplement that has been proven. It's been around for like 50, 60 years now. It allows you, it's first of all, none of these are necessary. Protein maybe, but none of these are necessary. You can still build muscle without doing any of this, but you do need enough protein. But creatine is it gives your muscles back ATP. If any of you guys have studied organic chemistry, your muscles need fuel to keep going. Like if you're bench pressing and you're lifting weights, it may give you an extra rep or two, or may allow you to add an extra 5 pounds to the bar, but it's not anything like magical. I mean, it's a little bit extra. They have found in some studies now that it helps with like clearing brain fog and dementia and thinking. So there's a lot of ongoing studies on creatine. Those will be the 3 things that you should take: protein, caffeine, creatine. They all end in "ine," the 3 "ines." That's it. Any doctor out there saying, here's my supplement stack, you got to pay me $300 to $400 a month or whatever, and you'll lose tons of weight, just ignore them. They're obviously just insane. Anyway, so back to the questions. 3 card says, I only drink green tea or green tea, matcha, or water. Yeah, I drink green tea, sometimes herbal tea. Sometimes like caffeine kind of bothers me, and then I get acid reflux. I've mostly been avoiding it. How good black coffee? Okay, so Rizwan's asking, how good is black coffee for weight loss? There is research on black coffee use in fatty liver patients, but what is your take on it? So black coffee has stimulant effects, which can ramp up your metabolism a little, but it's not like Adipex. Rizwan, there's a weight loss medication called Adipex or Phentermine. One of my lectures, actually all my lectures that deal with diet and weight loss, especially that 3-hour one, or one of the other ones, we talk about Phentermine extensively. The advantage of Phentermine is that it does stimulate fatty acid oxidation or lipolysis. It activates your body burning fat. So Phentermine is a prescription drug. It's a controlled substance in most states, but it's a prescription drug that does not only, it raises your metabolism, kind of like caffeine does. It heightens that anxiety and ramps up your heart rate and metabolism and all that, but it also encourages and increases fatty acid and lipid metabolism and lipolysis to break down fat. So that could answer that. I drink decaf green tea. I was wondering if it was true. No, I think, Vicky, you'll be fine. If there shouldn't be anything in the tea that prevent, for your heart, that would interfere with anything, depending on the tea. Now, if they're putting stuff in there that they shouldn't be, that's a different story. Is creatine okay for people with blood pressure? Raphael's asking. Yes, creatine is totally fine for that. Caffeine, maybe not. But the thing with caffeine is, if you've never been on caffeine and you suddenly start drinking it now, your blood pressure, your heart rate, all that stuff goes up. Once you've been on it for like 3 to 4 days, your blood pressure and all that kind of goes down. You can build up a tolerance to it. Same thing with Phentermine, the weight loss medicine. You've never been on it before, your heart rate and blood pressure and all that stuff goes up, but then it comes back down again. It's creatine. Okay, next one. 3 card is asking, I never ate any of the processed keto bars or other keto junk in 3 years. I've lost 150 pounds on keto. I make all my meals from scratch. So 3 card, that is awesome. And like I said in the beginning, I commend you. Going from 320 pounds or 321 down to 170 is phenomenal. I don't care how you do it. Like I always tell my patients, you can do whatever you want to lose weight. Here's some things that have been proven to work, but you can pick whatever you like as long as it's actually working. I have patients that have done keto and gained weight. I have patients that have done intermittent fasting and gained weight. I have people that did Atkins and gained weight, or carnivore diet, or Whole30, or TB12, like whatever the fad diet of the month is. You can do it and still gain weight. I have patients tell me, Doc, I eat clean. I make all my food from scratch. I eat healthy. I eat clean. I've never touched a Dorito in my life, and they still gain weight. You can gain weight eating healthy food. It's just you're eating too much of it. So definitely just make sure you're aware of that. 3Card now says, I went from 321 to 170. Yes, I think I just read that one. 5'11", started at age 58. I'm 61 now and have a six-pack. Dude, that is incredible, and those are my goals. I got pretty lean and shredded when I was cutting and bulking. I got down to 7% body fat, at least by caliper measurement. It was probably not that low, but close. But I still couldn't see my abs fully. So definitely that's very, very impressive. But since then, I decided I don't want to see abs. I was down to like 145 pounds. I was like a toothpick. I decided to bulk and cut and bulk and cut. Now I'm sitting at about 170, not as lean as I was at 7%. I don't know what it is now. If I had to guess by calipers, it would probably be 12-ish, maybe 14 at the most, but definitely way bigger and like 20 to 30 pounds heavier. Muscle, obviously, because the body fat didn't go up that much. But definitely if I go to cut now and get some abs, that probably look a lot better. 3Card says, I can't tolerate any strong stimulant due to my arrhythmias. Yeah, I hear you there. I can't do the caffeine as much anymore because of the acid reflux. 3Card says, watch out for Guarana and Yohimbe. Yeah, those definitely have some stimulants in them for, I'm assuming he for Vicky. Definitely some of those herbal supplements are not as benign as they seem, assuming they contain what they say they contain, but definitely those have stimulants in them. That's why anything that says like fat burner or weight loss usually has stimulants in it. So definitely be wary of those. Does anybody have any other questions? This was a really good discussion. There were some questions that I had sent to me, but we never got to them because we had so many people live. Somebody had asked, somebody named Pesh asked, thank you for your information. I try to exercise every day and alternate walking with 40 minutes, biking for 30, then some resistance training using body weight. It's nice to go from mostly sedentary lifestyle to being moderately active. Keeping this up is keeping this up sufficient? According to what I understand from your talks, maybe I'm doing too much. So look, this is a really good question. This person is saying that I went from completely sedentary to now walking 40 minutes and biking 30 minutes and some resistance training every day. So look, that's okay to start, but it's probably not sustainable long-term. Can you do that when you're 40, 50, 60, 70, and 80? I would guess not. So I usually tell people if you want to start an activity or some kind of exercise program, great, but don't view it as like, this is how I'm going to lose weight. Do it because you enjoy it. Do it because it's fun. Do it because you love it and whatnot, but don't do it because you think that you're going to burn off calories for the rest of your life. Because here's the problem. Let's say you work out every day for the rest of your life, 30 days, 30 to 40 minutes a day of biking. What happens when you can't bike? Let's say you get injured and for like 3 months, you can't bike. You didn't learn to create a calorie deficit with calories alone. You're going to start gaining weight because you're not used to not exercising. Your body has adapted and you've managed your eating and calories around that. You no longer can do those 30 minutes. So you kind of get stuck. So just make sure you're not doing something so difficult that you can't keep it up. Somebody else, I forgot, where's the other question here? Bama. And I'm not reading people's last names because, I'm trying to keep it anonymous. Probably no one wants their last names. Probably about Bama something. Last name says, I watched your constrained exercise video, and I've always kind of thought this, and now it's good to know that you have the proof or the science to back it up. Yeah, so I did a video recently on the constrained model of exercise. I've talked about this model multiple times in my really long videos, the 1.5 hour exercise video and the 3 hour weight loss video that I gave to physicians recently. The constrained model of exercise states that you cannot burn endless amounts of calories with exercise. Like, people used to think that if you get on the treadmill and you start running or walking or jogging or whatever it is, you could burn unlimited amounts of calories. Unfortunately, that's not true. We used to think like if you exercise a little bit, you burn this many, and it just keeps going up and up and up and up and up the more you exercise. That's not true. We've now found that it's a capped model. You burn calories in the beginning and up to a certain point, and then it's plateaus, and your body starts taking calories from somewhere else. Your total daily energy expenditure, it starts taking calories from something else. So watch that video. It's a nice one. It's got like a yellow background. It's got me in the corner and this chart called the constrained and capped exercise model. The amount of calories you can burn with exercise seems to be capped, or at least constrained. So you cannot just get on a treadmill for 18 hours a day and run off all your calories. Next question. Thank you so much. I always learn so much from all of your help. Your book is very interesting. You and your family be blessed. Thank you, Vicky. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And thank you for your kind words. I hope my family's always blessed, and the same to you with your family. 3 Card says, yeah, I tried paleo, even went vegan, tried Weight Watchers. None of that worked. Healthy keto was the only thing that worked for me. Awesome. Like I said, 3 Card, I'm not one of those doctors that's super dogmatic that's going to sit here and tell you how horrible you are and what a terrible person you are. Look, if it worked for you, then just keep doing it. And your cholesterol numbers look fine, so I'm not worried about it. I'm not going to tell you that keto is this horrible decision you've made. No, it works. Great. There are lots of different ways to create a calorie deficit. You lost over 170 pounds, or like 100, like you went from 321 down to 170. So that's awesome. So don't stop. Just keep it up. If you do get sick of it at some point, talk to me. We can adjust things and modify it if you want. Rizwan is saying, so thankful for this discussion. Dr. Allo, with you and the remaining audience, learned a lot. I was your resident at St. V's, graduated from IMRC this year. Oh, cool, man. I didn't even know that. Well, hey, welcome to being an attending. If you graduated, that's awesome. I don't know where you are now, but keep me posted. I always love my students and residents when they call me back and update me or send me a message. I don't know if you're on Facebook or not, but if you are, keep me posted about your next endeavors, if you decide to do a specialty or anything else. Jim is asking, what are your feelings on a possible diagnosis of bradycardia? My cardiologist seems to have, I feel it. So Jim, this is bradycardia, just means slow heart rate for those of you that don't know. So you may have it. It just depends. If it's not really bothering you, we don't really care. If you're very physically well conditioned, it's fine. Just keep doing what you're doing. Most people who are well-conditioned athletes are going to be bradycardic. One thing your doctor can do is have you wear a heart monitor for 2 days, and let's just see how low it gets and how often it's low. We want to know what your average heart rate is. If your average heart rate's 50 and up, we're not going to worry about it. If it's like 35 or 40, it could be an issue. So definitely make sure your doctor looks into that. Matt is saying, hi, Dr. Allo. Know about you from John Meadows' channel. So sad he passed away. I really thought he'd be okay going forward. Yeah, unfortunately, that was horrific news. I had met John during the pandemic, I think it was. Yeah, because were we wearing masks? No, we weren't. But I had met John through mutual friends. He had a heart attack, not the normal kind of heart attack. It was due to a clotting disorder. But a friend of mine said, hey, can you talk to John? He's been depressed about all his diagnoses and whatnot. So we did. We talked on the phone for days, back and forth for months. And then one day he's like, hey, look at my latest numbers. Look at my latest echocardiogram. I said, we talked about it. And then he's like, hey, you want to come down and be on my show? Being a cardiologist and bodybuilder, and he's a bodybuilder and now has cardiac issues, it was a good fit. And we did some videos together. But yeah, it's a horrible situation. My understanding from the news reports is the clotting condition ultimately caught up with him, and he ended up having a huge blood clot go to his lungs. Prayers go out to his family, of course, especially in Christmas and the holidays. It can be the hardest. 3 Card is asking, I have bradycardia too, 45 to 60 at rest, but if I'm on a treadmill, I do get up to 140. Yeah, so that's good. So that's called chronotropic competence. Chronotropic incompetence is when your heart rate never goes up when it's supposed to. Like if your heart rate's 45 and we put you on a treadmill, it doesn't really go up that much. That's called chronotropic incompetence. You have chronotropic competence. When you get on the treadmill, your heart rate does go up, which is the expected result, and that's what we want. Vicky says, Merry Christmas, Dr. Allo. Merry Christmas to you too, Vicky. I hope all goes well with you and you have a wonderful Christmas with your family. 3 card says the problem with some keto advocates is they go too heavy on bad fats. Yeah, that's the thing I try to emphasize. If you're going to go on one of these diets, try not to eat a lot of saturated fat. We still want people to keep their saturated fat levels below 10%. And saturated fats are fats that are usually solid at room temperature. These are like your butter, bacon, lard, chicken skin, fat on steak, those kind of things. So sorry, my phone was buzzing. I just got to make sure it's not a hospital. But definitely try to avoid saturated fats, and your numbers should stay fine. Usually when I see someone's lipid profile, I can almost immediately tell whether or not they're on a keto diet and how much saturated fat they're eating or not. And it's like a very specific pattern. Dean says Broncos. Yes, Broncos are my favorite team. Zane says hello. 3 card says, what's your thoughts on coconut oil? So this is a question I get a lot, 3 card. Coconut oil is a saturated fat. Not sure how it got popular or why people thought it was healthy, or it's basically a plant version of butter. I mean, literally, that's exactly what it is. It's solid at room temperature, and when you warm it up a little, it liquefies. But essentially, it's mostly a saturated fat. I mean, all fats are a combination of polyunsaturated, monounsaturated, and saturated, like even olive oil. It's not pure poly or monounsaturated. It has saturated in it, but when it's liquid at room temperature, it's usually less saturated. But when it's solid at room temperature, it's mostly saturated. So that's really a problem. Matt says, yeah, definitely. Well, you come across pretty awesome, so we'll keep following you, man. Hey, Matt, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Share the love. Tell your friends. I do have a video. Hey, Matt, I don't know if you're if you like working out legs. There's a video coming out tomorrow morning on how to grow your legs, specifically glutes. I get asked that question a lot, how to grow your glutes and legs while still maintaining and or growing your chest and back and not ignoring them. So watch out for that tomorrow morning. But yeah, coconut oil is basically a plant fat, plant butter, like butter-based, it's like the equivalent of butter, but a plant. All right, there was one other question that somebody had asked, but feel free to post questions, guys. Oh, someone says, I stop eating at about 6 p.m. It's taken me a lot of discipline to do this and not snack at night when I'm watching TV with the kids when I'm watching TV after my kid goes to sleep. What can I do? So this is a common problem. If you're out of calories by 6 and you don't want to eat more, that's fine. But if you're just stopping at 6 for no reason, there's no reason to do that. Like we said, chrononutrition and stopping at a certain time makes no difference. But one thing you can do is if you're really hungry at night, first of all, you should embrace the hunger. If you're trying to lose weight, you're going to be hungry. That means it's working. But one thing you can do at night is eat a cucumber, or dice a cucumber with some tomatoes and onions and put some balsamic vinegar on it with some like Montreal steak seasoning. It fills you up and it's not a lot of calories. Same thing with pickles, cucumbers, those kind of things. A whole head of lettuce. Those things are like almost no calories, but they fill you up. So you feel full. The stretch fibers in your stomach tell your vagal nerve to tell yourself that you're not as hungry anymore. So that is another trick you can do. Someone says this is 3 card again. I put half a teaspoon of coconut oil in my bulletproof green tea matcha in the morning. Is that bad for me? Look, your numbers look good, 3 card. Half a teaspoon is like almost nothing. I wouldn't worry about it. But if you're doing it for like health benefits, it's not doing anything. If you're doing it because you like the taste, that's a different story. But if you're doing it because you think it has magical health powers, it really doesn't. Matt says, sure, I work out regularly, so we'll keep an eye out for the video. Awesome, Matt. Love it. If you have a channel too, Matt, or something, post it. I'll take a look. 3 card says basically thank you and a smiley face. So if there's no more questions, maybe we'll end this session. We'll try to do this maybe once a week. This was obviously, let's see. Oh, wow, almost an hour. We'll try to do this once a week. Clearly, I didn't even know about these lives, but clearly they are very engaging and very interactive, and it feels like very useful. So hopefully I've been able to help some people. That's kind of my goal in life. But if I've been able to help you and you enjoyed it, I'm glad you did. 3 card says this was great. Yeah, I agree. I feel like this was very, very beneficial. But it should be in the live section soon. I forgot how this happens, but as soon as I close this, it goes to a live section and you can watch it later. But anyways, thank you guys very much for being here. If you have other questions, maybe just post them in the comment. That's what people did on the last video. If we didn't get to your question, post it in the comments. We'll get to it the next time we do this. And everyone have an awesome holiday season. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Hopefully you get everything you want for Christmas and or New Year. And hopefully 2022 will be like a lot better than these last 2 years. All right. Take care, everyone. Bye.